Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Scale Stories by Helium 10. My name is Bradley Sutton, I'm from Helium 10. I'm joined by
Leo Sgovio, Amazon seller since 2015 and founder of Spliced.io.
And we are here to help
Natalie launch her first product.
And her first product is tuning forks. If you're just hopping in randomly to this episode, don't forget to watch the others in the series so you can understand how we came to this listing or came to this product, how we made the listing, etc., etc. But now we're at the point where we are going to talk about like the creatives, the visual aspects of a listing. This includes images, includes videos, includes images and videos that you might use for advertising later, includes something called A+ content. This is important because picture, they say, tells 1,000 words, right? So on Amazon, maybe even more. When you are scrolling on Amazon, do you buy a product that has a really ugly image? Like, do you even click on it, like in the search results?
I ignore it.
Ignore it. So you're drawn consciously or subconsciously. You're probably drawn consciously or subconsciously to images that look good or that pop on the page. And so we're going to talk about that. How do you pop on a page? What are the requirements of Amazon images? As far as requirements goes, the main thing, Leo, is probably that you have to be careful for, that Amazon very strictly, sometimes loosely, regulates, is the main image. What does Natalie and our listeners have to keep in mind for what Amazon wants on this main image that shows up in the search results?
Yeah, the number one rule is that you use white background on the main image. You cannot use any other color. And you're supposed to only display the product itself. You cannot show anything else but the product. So I don't know, if you're selling a Christmas tree and you're showing it with a bunch of lights, right? Christmas lights, but you do not sell the lights, you're not allowed to do that, right? Okay. So it has to be only your product. So what sellers are doing today, they're actually showing a visualization here of the product, which you can see in your case for tuning forks. They are showing perhaps the package already open, so it takes a little bit more real estate. It fills that square image. You're supposed to have at least an image or upload an image that is 1500 pixel by 1500, or I think it is a 1000 by 1000.
Yeah, but it should be at least 1,000.
Right, but it has to be high resolution, right? And so if you look at, in this case, the first competitor, for example, is showing the product, the packaging, as well as the booklet. So he's filling every single pixel almost of that image. And that's how he's hoping to get the attention of the customer that is browsing for this type of product.
There is one image here that is kind of against Amazon terms of service based on what Leo just said. So he said white background, you have to include the products. Can you see, this might be difficult. Maybe you listeners out there can figure it out too. But there's one here that's very borderline, if not kind of in the red, that if Amazon actually looked at it, they would be like, nope, we're going to take this down. What do you think?
I feel like if we go off of pictures that don't just have the product, I would say the second one.
That's what I was thinking. This almost has like a lifestyle image in here. So if Amazon sees this, we don't know how they like monitor this kind of thing, but if their police landed on this listing, I guarantee they would like suppress this until they change the image, because that's not. Yeah, it's showing the product, but you can't have like action shots or models usually. On the main image. So that's the main image. Now the other images, there's different types of images, and I bet you this one, I just clicked on your competitor, it cost them $1 right there. That's what you get, lots of Zens, or your new competitors come after your sales here. This is what we mentioned as the main image. What do you call this kind of image, Leo?
Yeah, so this will be the lifestyle image. Okay. Here's where you are basically showing in an image how the product is being used in real life. This person here is a model. Now, here's one thing that you have to pay attention. The type of, the model they use in your images is important, because you ultimately have a buyer persona in mind, right? Yes. Before you do the research, you know who you're going to sell to. So make sure that when you do hire an agency, or if you're using AI, you also use the right model in your images that reflects that audience, that buyer persona that you're trying to sell to.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's say you have a product that's geared towards young African American females, you have a 70-year-old white guy as the model. That doesn't exactly, translate. Now that's an extreme example, but still, like, you have to think even more nuanced than that. Like, if this was like some teenager, regardless of race or anything else, like, teenagers probably are not using tuning forks,
Right.
So having this woman, maybe she's in her 30s or 40s, that's probably like a good demographic.
Yeah.
Probably not great to have a man here. Like, maybe in your research you see that it's like 80% women who use this product, only 20% men. Well, don't use a male, model for this. So this is what we call lifestyle image, and then what do we call this kind of image?
Yeah, so you're actually providing now more details of the packaging itself. So this is more a descriptive image that is explaining to your customer what are they getting when they buy your product. So here you see the package kit includes the forks, the box, and a few more details. So that, remember I said, they don't necessarily need to read the whole listing or the bullet points. With this image, they know exactly what they're getting.
Yep.
Okay.
So this can be called descriptive image, can be called infographic, but those are the main types. You go white background image, a mixture of lifestyle images with infographics, and usually you kind of like want one to show the dimensions. Like, I noticed these ones, I don't think did that, where there'll be like a ruler or something where you say, hey, this is, because people, that's one of the biggest reasons of bad reviews sometimes, is like, oh, this is bigger than I thought, this is smaller than I thought, this is whatever, But if you have a model holding it, or at least you have a size chart, it definitely helps. The last type of image is not really an image, it's actually video. All right, so these videos here, these are related videos. These are from like Amazon creators or Amazon influencers. But here, this one is actually from the brand itself, and pretty nice video there. Sometimes this can be, it can actually have audio on it. So this lady is talking about how she's
I've been using
doing
tuning
it.
forks in my practice for quite some time, and these lots of Zen
What she's
tuning
doing there, but now I'm learning. I'm learning about it. It could also be like an unboxing. There's different ways that you can make videos. Now, before we get into like how you're actually going to do it, what we're doing right now is we're studying one of the main sellers. What strategy works? That's great. You should be doing that. Don't just come up. I'm going to come up with my own ideas about what images are good. These people have been selling for years, probably. Actually, let's take a look using Helium 10. They've had this product since like 2021. Okay, so 2021 is when they launched this product. They've probably gone through many iterations of images to like actually get something that works best for them, right? But don't just look at the top seller. Analyze what I like to call niche theme. This is something that our friend Tomer had told me about, years ago, way back in like 2018, where he was one who gave us this idea about this tool that we have in Helium 10. But it's like, look if there's a universal theme of what people are doing. Like, does everybody have in their second or third image an infographic about the size? Does everybody have an image in there where there's a female laying on a bed with it? I mean, like, you're gonna notice when you look not just at one listing, but overall. And so what I did here in Listing Analyzer was I added a bunch of the competitor ASINs. These are the same ones that we were looking at for our keywords. Okay. But then there's this button here that says Media Comparison. And if I hit that, it lays out everybody's images kind of here. And then so we look, and we're looking for themes. All right? Everybody has this very similar white background. The ones that have packaging seem to have it here. Okay, so we can kind of see what's everybody doing for the white background. And then we kind of look for themes here. Mm-hmm. And we see almost all female. Again, I would have to look at these listings one by one to get this. But right now, instantly, I can see 95% female models are used in all the images. Yeah. So again, like I said, I'm probably not going to go out and tell a photo studio or even AI to use a male model.
And I also noticed.
What do you notice?
The black backgrounds.
Black backgrounds,
Would that theory that you mentioned in earlier episodes apply to this when it comes to videos, to, well, more so pictures?
Absolutely. I mean, we did the research and we found out that black is perhaps not a good color for this type of product, so this niche. And so even though you see a bunch of sellers here using black, it doesn't mean that perhaps they didn't do the same research that we did.
Yeah.
And that's why we believe, to have an edge or an advantage when it comes to positioning this product in the market with the right coloring, with the right images, with the right type of box, because we know exactly who the audience is. We've done the research. We feel very confident about it. And so we're going to go with a different color, right? And that would be even an interesting test to do before you even launch your product. With Helium 10, you have a tool that allows you to do an A/B test. And so you can upload the same packaging, maybe with a black, kind of like a main color, and then one that is more colorful with this like pastel subtle tones that we have identified. And you can see what, for that specific audience, what they choose. You can see who wins before you even launch the product. So that will eliminate some potential risks of not being appealing in the market.
Yeah.
Another thing, I do see that not all of them, but at least 3 or 4 does have that this kind of image like I had suggested, where it shows the different sizes. Like I wouldn't even know like that they were proportion, that the mallet was the same length or same size as this other one. We see a lot of them with somebody laying down, right there, laying down on her stomach on that one. Here's one, she's laying down on the bed. This is the only one that doesn't have somebody laying down. Oh, this one too. Oh no, there's a laying down right there. So there's a theme there. There's another laying down there. Here's the video. What you would do also is you would take this, and then whoever's designing, like going to do a photo shoot for you, or who's going to try and reproduce something with AI, you give them this and say, hey, this is what's working for the top sellers. I don't want to copy, them, but how can we do something similar but better? Graphic designers and things like they take that as a challenge. Like, all right, here's what's working. But if you're in the old days, what we used to do is we used to make like a Google sheet or a PowerPoint file where we have to one by one copy and paste all these images for all these listings and then look at it to try and do it. But here in Helium 10, it's super easy.
I wanted to ask you a question. Of all these competitors that you see on this page, and feel free to scroll up or down on the screen here, which one do you think has the best quality of images?
So setting aside the main image, I'm drawn to that pastel, that blue. I'm drawn to that white with the blue, as well as...
I'm going to go all the way down.
Yeah,
so you take
I
your
haven't
time.
seen the ones down.
Take your time, look at the images and tell me which one you think did a better job overall.
What you get with the letter U.
The lowercase u. I'm a little biased because I like the black, this version right here of this tuning fork set. I love that she's sitting up and she's smiling and it's like she's getting that inner peace. But what I'm just drawn to are the lighter images with the coloring in them. I like this one right here a
That's
lot.
more magical, right?
Yes,
kind of
yes.
Look and feel. Well, I'll give you my opinion. It just comes from years of seeing listings. I also like a lot the last one. I think they've done a good job overall and presenting the product with these images. And if you look at also the model that they use, they want, I think they're trying to target someone younger compared to all the other listings. This speaks to me like someone that is maybe in Bali, like very Zen style kind of images, which might resonate with a specific audience as well. And I think that's why you mentioned earlier, like she, gives you this very positive energy, right? That she's smiling, she's feeling great after using that tool. So what if you add now these kind of images with a blue color or with like a purple color, right?
That's kind of where I was getting at. Yeah.
So the fact that they're using black is not necessarily, doesn't mean that they've done a bad job with images. Like I think the listing is pretty well. And this, by the way, is one of the competitors that we've identified, and this is the one that has kind of like approached this market as the new entry, with a few reviews, and they're still selling very well, and I think there is a reason for it.
Yes,
this
I see that.
I think speaks to it, and the reason why they're being successful so far. I think they've done a good job with their listing compared to the guy that has been already in business for 3 years, which has an okay listing in my opinion.
They do a great job, this listing right here that you're talking about, they do a great job showing it being used in practice at that moment, and just kind of living through the product, I guess you can say.
Yeah, here you have another example of somebody else that is also selling quite a bit of units, considering the low number of reviews so far. It's different compared to the lifestyle images that you see here, but very thorough, very easy to understand what you're getting with the product, very good infographics here. So I think, if you provide this tool to your graphic designer, they'll know exactly what to do in order to stand out.
So let's talk about that. What we did for years, and what I did for years too, was I hired photography studios sometimes to do it. Like if I had a smaller product that I wasn't too concerned about, I actually had my kids do it. My daughter has a degree in graphic design and stuff, and so I would just have them do a quick photo shoot, and she would do some images for me. But then for my bigger launches, I would usually hire a studio, in our Scale Stories series. In another episode, we have Kamal from AMZ One Step, and so I would actually use AMZ One Step. They have photography studios in Bali. Bali, they would probably find a lot of people that would be perfect for this, and also China, where even before I got the product, I would have them send a couple of units to them, and they would rent out Airbnbs, and they would have nice photo shoots, and that's not cheap. That's about $1,000 on the minimum, up to $2,000 depending on how are they doing a bunch of videos, how many options of images, because they're hiring real models and stuff. But nowadays there's also another option, even with companies like AMZ One Step or just on your own, where you can say, you know what, I'm looking at this and I think she's AI. That's just my opinion. I think that to me is AI. It's a good AI, but that I'm pretty sure is AI. This is not a real model. But that's the beauty about this, is that nowadays you can have very realistic looking models like this. What you don't want to do in the old days, people used to do these photoshopping things where they would get stock photography and they're completely disproportionate. You could tell it's just some random thing and their hand was here and all of a sudden some weird thing ends up in their hand. It was terrible. No. I would never buy products that had just because of I'm like, all right, if the Amazon seller is so cheap that they're going to have this terrible quality image that was photoshopped, how can I trust that they're making a good quality product? That was literally what I was thinking. But now that those days are gone, because I'm 90% sure this is AI. You can make really high quality. So what about you for your launches nowadays, Leo? Are you using photography studios? Are you using AI? Are you using a mixture of graphic designers with AI? What's your strategy?
Yeah, with the new product that we're launching, we are just going 100% AI.
Wow.
Only for video, we're going the traditional way, because with the video, it's important for us to show families and group of people playing with our game. And so it's important to script it and do it in a proper way so that we convey the right message to our potential buyers. But when it comes to images, right now, with AI, the quality and even the details are so good that it allows you first to obviously save money, but also to go to market in a much faster way and iterate and reiterate as you go based on what you learn, and do A/B tests, things that before it took you weeks or months to figure out. Today you can do it in days. Yesterday I posted something on LinkedIn, Bradley. So there's this new commercial that Goli, the Goli Nutrition, generated with, I think it was 6 frames, done 100% with VO3 by Google. Okay. And the commercial is fantastic. It shows this guy that is basically being criticized because he's a little bit bigger. And then, after 2 or 3 times running, he starts losing weight and all of a sudden everybody likes him. And then there's this guy from Goli that is like, hey, I got a solution for you. It's this Goli product. And the whole commercial is AI. Wow. So what I did, I reversed engineered the prompt and I was able to replicate the exact same ad and the quality. And by the way, that ad went viral on TikTok. Okay. And so there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing the same thing today. And I think, so the answer is AI.
Okay. Yeah. So we might do another I might bring on somebody for a virtual episode we'll do from your house or something of
Yeah.
how we actually prompt this, because it's not you can't just say, hey, make me 7 Amazon images that are really good and you're gonna get this quality. No, like he had said about that other video, you have to like kind of reverse engineer what would the prompt be, and you got to like know about things like, hey, I want this to be in the setting of in a Balinese tent at about 3, with the sunlight being at 3 p.m. as if it was a Canon XR camera. You have to get into some detail to really get this quality. You can't just say, hey, show me a woman with a tuning fork in a tent and expect to get this amazing quality, where most people probably wouldn't be able to tell that that is AI. And so we'll probably do a separate episode based on that. But again, we're using, regardless of what you guys are deciding to do, whether you're doing your own images, you're hiring somebody from Upwork, you're hiring AMZ One Step or another company, this process is non-negotiable. Analyze what is working for the competitors, so you're not just starting from scratch. Now, if you're inventing a new product, or there's not an existing niche, first of all, I don't think that inventing products is that great for Amazon. It's not a Kickstarter, but let's just say for whatever reason, you don't have many competitors. When I launched my coffin shelf, there was pretty much only one person who had a coffin shelf at that time, and he had almost no images. So what can you do? Well, just go into a different niche. Look at the Goalie Gummies niche. Like what are they doing? If you're doing a supplement, a brand new supplement, look at other supplements. If you're doing a product like this, look at other similar products, and then you can at least get an idea of what makes a good Amazon listing. And you're going to come up with the ideas like she had. Like, you know what? Like Leo said, I love this quality here, but then maybe we should do a color scheme that's a little bit blue. Those are the kind of things that'll come up. Okay, so that's images. Video, similar thing. Should you do a real unboxing one? Should you do one with AI for the image or for the video that goes in the image carousel? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I think in your case, Natalie, because we are here proving that we can still launch on Amazon with a tight budget. And so I think even using AI at the beginning for a quick 10, 15 second video is, I think, good enough. If you play with it for half a day and get the right output, you can probably do something like this. I think this is AI as well. There's no, or unless they hired a special effect guy, but most likely they've been able to achieve this with AI. Is a combination of, you see different videos here. It's another one that probably they recorded and they combined all of it together. But I think you can do this with a fairly affordable budget. Okay. Now, what is important that I've discovered in videos as well as your images is that now with these new AI algorithms and Rufus and Cosmo and pretty much these engines being able to also extract information from images and detect also subjects in images, is very important to create a video that is related and that is semantically related to your listing. I'll give you an example. Our friend Antonio Bindi is from Brazil. He shared an example a couple of years ago on LinkedIn. I think he sells baby products. And one of his images was filmed or was shot in a room where on the wall there was, those radiators, those heater radiators. I think it's typical in Europe. Okay. And so his product was in front of it. And he kept ranking on Amazon for a baby crib. And he couldn't understand why he was ranking for baby crib. But then he used some Amazon image recognition APIs to understand and extract some information from that image. And what he realized that Amazon recognized that radiator on the wall as a baby crib. He thought it was a baby crib. And that's why he was ranking for that keyword. But the product had nothing to do with the baby crib. The moment he deleted that from that image, removed and reshot that image, he lost that ranking for that keyword and it was more relevant for his actual product. Okay. So it's very important today that you remember this when you're designing your images, when you are also creating your videos, because Amazon can scan the frames and see if you have a dog in your image, but your product has nothing to do with pets, then maybe the dog shouldn't be there. Make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So images and videos, we'll actually get those made with Natalie later. Next aspect of a listing to think about is there's actually I want to skip down here is the brand story. All right. So this is what you'll have to do some thinking about. Like do you want to be the face of your brand? There's not like a good or like I doubt this is the person who's the face of her brand. So they're just using random AI or just random models or something. Here's one of our other contestants in Scale Stories, Essential Candies, and this is the owner of the brand. There's not a right or wrong method, but you got to think about how do you want to brand your brand? Do you want to be the face of it, or do you just want it to be about a story? And then so now that is something that goes in the brand story where you can really like connect, kind of like put a face to your brand, or at least just tell your customers, what do you stand for? What is New Me? Let's say we're going to call it New Me Healing. What does New Me Healing brand stand for? And this gives a nice little graphical area where you can talk about that. And then this looks like premium A+ content. Mm-hmm. There's also regular A+ content as well if you only have like one product. Usually that's what you qualify for. There's like tricks you can do where if you get the same A+ content approved 15 times, I think then it opens up premium A+ content. But this is not just, as we can see here, a copy of the regular images and just putting it down here. There's a little bit different strategy. So how do you tackle your A+ content creative compared to your images, Leo?
Yeah, so here you want to highlight more information of your brand. If you're, for example, like Bradley said earlier, if you're supporting a charity as well, like as you see here, what these guys are doing, they're also providing, it's kind of a copy. Remember, like I saw this image also as the second image or the third image, like infographic with the package.
Okay.
Yeah, they did have this. So, these guys, you can see they're also showing different ways that you can utilize the product for medical or energy cleansing. So you're kind of explaining a little bit more in detail. Imagine like you have a booklet. And so this is kind of like a mini version of that booklet where you're already explaining how they can use it. Remember, this is also your chance to convince the customer that they are on the right page, they're buying the right product. So whatever you can tell them through this piece of really great high definition piece content, right? That's what you should do. A lot of people here put information about the owner, like you said, or also you're supporting a charity. So every dollar out of our every product that we sell goes to charity, whatever charity you're supporting. But yeah, ultimately, they have a video here as well. Ultimately, you are completing the story with this part of the page.
Okay.
So this is another thing that you can do with AI to generate these images, or again, those who want to use photography studios. It looks like this actually was a real video that they made. Mm-hmm. So that was different than their other video. Their other video, I think, was made with AI. This looks real, especially this part here looks pretty real. I mean, who knows? Nowadays, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell. But this is not something fancy. Like you could have maybe filmed that yourself. Like have somebody just take a camera phone with good lighting and film that. And video can only be in the premium A+ content. The regular A+ content, you can't have this video. And it looks like there's also a Q&A section that's part of this. So that is something that you can incorporate in your listing as well.
This is interesting, Bradley, because some people right now are playing with this part of the Q&A section. Because the Q&A doesn't show at the bottom. Remember? Like it used to be just the part where people could ask questions and you could answer them. But that is actually something that generative engines like ChatGPT are crawling. So now Amazon, in their robots file, is preventing engines like ChatGPT from crawling their page. But we don't know what happens in the future. They could open it up. And so the question and answers is a perfect section where you could provide or answer information. So if you looked at Rufus and the other episode where Brad identified some issues that maybe a competitor has in the listing, right? Or through the reviews, you can actually leverage that in the answer already that question in that section so that your customers already have an answer before without doing any extra work, like without scrolling down. So think of it as an opportunity not only to answer something that your customers might be looking for. So does this product, is it made with specific type of aluminum, right? If you know that in your competitor's listing is something that comes up often, you can already answer that in that section. But also if generative engines such as Perplexity or ChatGPT start scanning that section, that is going to be what they will be featuring as an answer in the these engines, which is going to link back to this listing. So you can get traffic eventually from these websites, okay?
Yeah.
All right, any questions about the creatives, pictures or videos that we haven't covered for you yet?
I wanted to touch base again on the images regarding the black background. So is that something where you feel, because this is a healing tool, that using the black background would not be suitable? Or do you think a mixture of color with the black would make it fine?
Look, Natalie, it's an interesting question, and I appreciate you asking or questioning why black in this case might not be the right color. When it comes to black, you see that type of color used in a lot of different industries has been traditionally associated to the luxury space. You look at American Express, you look at the website, typically it uses the black color, which kind of like gives you that sense of luxury, expensive feel. In this case here, when we did the research with ChatGPT and asked what colors, and I learned this when I was developing an actual carpet for children. It was an educational rag for children that was meant to teach them the alphabet. I learned that in schools, in kindergartens, they don't use bright colors because they agitate kids. You're supposed to use more like subtle colors, pastel colors, because they calm the kids down. Okay. And so that's when I started thinking about this industry when we found this product. And there must be some colors that also in your industry are much better instead of a black, or instead of a tone that is not really making me feel calm, but instead is just keeping me alert. And so black might not necessarily be like a red, right? Or a bright blue or electric blue, but ChatGPT did tell us that might be associated to that sense of agitation. So would I risk to use a product or color on a product that might not be the right one? No, but the proper way of doing this is by doing an A/B test where you have a proper poll, you create images with the two different colors, and then you let your audience choose which one is best. If they go with the black, well, guess what? ChatGPT was wrong. AI is not always right. But if ChatGPT or your audience is actually voting for the other color, then you have the answer.
Okay.
What he mentioned is important. It's something I actually forgot to mention about A/B testing. You might think you have the best images or the best main image, which is the most important. Your graphic designer might think it's the best in the world. At the end of the day, you're not the one buying your product. The graphic designer is not buying your product. Your target market is.
Yeah.
And so we always suggest before you launch, don't just make one white background image or one main image. Do 3, 4, 5 different options and then split test it against your target audience. So that we have this tool in Helium 10 called Helium 10 Audience, and it allows you to choose a demographic. So let's say you did your research, you found your demographic is mainly female from the ages of 35 to 50 or something. You could pick that. Show me Amazon. I want to put this in front of Amazon Prime members, female, age 35 to 50. And then you set up a poll. Like here's one that I did on a real product. This is actually one of our other contestants in Scale Stories, David's product. If you search for a roll-on hemp pain cream, which of the following search results makes you want to choose it? And actually, I think this was one of the newer products that we had, or the newer images. And it didn't score well in a previous test. I don't think I have that test. Oh no, here it is. No, this is a different one. This is for the cream. I don't have that one. You can see some of the other tests I've done, like just random stuff, like how many eggs are in it. This one, it showed me it didn't really matter, too much.
Yeah.
This was a very interesting one. This was one of my coffin shelves with a gift box, okay? And so this scored well. It won. And I knew this is what I thought was going to be good for my coffin shelf. But here's something interesting. Every person who does the poll, they also have to put why. And so let me see if I can show you something here that was interesting that kind of like struck me. And this is recent, and now I have to actually go do something about it. But watch this. I was like, okay, great. This is what I thought would win, but I still wanted to, even if you win, it's still good to do this just because you need to validate your own idea, because most of the time I'm actually wrong. This one I was actually right. But for the votes for A, here is something interesting. A shows me all of the accessories and multiple angles of the box. I'm like, what? This is not multiple angles of the box. These are two products. This is a gift box and this is a coffin shelf. To me, it's as clear as day. This is my product. But they're like multiple angles of the box. More stuff in the coffins. Shows the coffin both open and closed. So everybody thinks that this is one product. My main value add is I was the only coffin shelf that is giving a box plus an actual coffin. So even though this won and I was right, thank goodness I did this study, because now I know this image does not convey what I'm trying to convey, which is that you get all of these products in one. They think this is the same thing. So super important to do this. And let me go back to that other one I was showing you about the hemp cream. This one won with a resounding 72. And when we changed the image and changed a couple other images, we had a conversion rate increase of, it was like 3 to 4%. Now that might not sound like 3 to 4%. Who cares?
It's huge, actually.
That calculated out. This is a product that gets like 30 sales a day, 20 to 30 sales a day. That's $20,000 a year difference. That if you just increase like conversion or click-through rate by like 3 or 4%, it has a huge impact when you look out across a year. Like just think about it. If you have 100 people who look at your product and your conversion rate is 10%, so 10 people buy it.
Yeah.
If you can increase it to 13, that's 3 orders a day times 365 days. Now you can see how this kind of thing, adds up. And so this costs money. These are real people. This isn't AI or anything like, so obviously, like this probably cost me maybe like $60 or $70, but we are definitely going to do this on your listing. It's the best 70 or $150 if we do 2 of them. That was really going to help you. Amazon has split testing. Let me just show you how that looks. And there's nothing wrong with using this per se. However, let me explain why I don't use the Amazon one too much. It is in brands and manage experiments. I've done a couple tests on here. Actually, I've done a few where I test the title and different things. But here's one where I tested the images. And then these are actually live stats. Okay, so it tells you what people interacted with more. All right, look at this. Version A, 7 units were sold. Version B, only 1 unit was sold in whatever time frame this was. But here's why I don't like doing it here. Look at this. 50% of the time I had a bad image. This was just a nothing product I was just doing a test on. But imagine if this was like 700 and then the whole time that I had version B was 100.
Yeah.
So by definition, if you're doing this on a live listing, you already know that 50% of the time, if it's going back and forth, you have something that's bad.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why are you doing this test? So I like doing it before you launch, and that's why I use, tools like this, so that before I launch, I already know from day one I'm going to have the best optimized image. And then later on, like you can, tweak little things and use Amazon. This is actually free to use. That's why it's cool. But this is a super important aspect. Once we get through your images, we might do a couple things. We could do like a title. We could do the main image, and then later something is like, let's say you're like, wait a minute. Why am I just not getting sales on my listing? Or why is my conversion rate bad? We can do other things where we take a screenshot of like how your listing looks compared to the, that one who's selling $800 a month. Yeah. And then we ask like, hey guys, if you clicked on, if you're looking for tuning forks, you clicked on these 3 listings and this is what you saw, which one would you pick and why? And then again, going to the reasons, you're gonna start seeing things that you never even thought about. Like, man, I've got great images. My bullet points are rock solid. But then all of a sudden people start, saying stuff like, oh, I really don't like the model that they use. Like that just turned me off. Or this listing was too frivolous. It was too comical. Like, this is serious. Some things that you probably never even imagine, you're going to get some insights to understand. So this is important for you guys on all aspects of your Amazon journey, is don't just rely on yourself. You're a smart person, Natalie, but we're all three smart people here. We should not rely on ourselves, our own, because we're limited. We have such a wide variety of customers. We want to make sure we're optimized. Anything else to say about like split testing or anything, Leo?
Yeah, no, I think you pretty much covered everything. We do the same thing, and sometimes we even try to use like different tools so that we get more people, especially when you're working on your packaging, right? That's so important. You're ordering, right now you're probably going to order 1,000, 1,500 pieces, but let's say you're placing a much bigger order, like 10,000, 15,000, and you do something wrong there, it's painful, right? So even if you're going to spend 80, but even like $200, $300 out of your $10,000, $20,000 budget, it's money well spent for sure.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. So now we are pretty much, that closes the listing part of it. We talked about the text of the listing, the SEO value, how to connect with customers. We talked now about the image part of the listing, videos, A+ content. These are all things that no matter what, pretty much all categories that you're selling on Amazon, these are universal kind of truths that you have to make sure that you're aware of. So in the next few modules now, we're going to talk about how do we actually get those first sales? What do we need to do for TikTok Shop? How do we advertise? We'll see you in the next few episodes.
See you there.